Hey, Ken's got fire and a wild hot take. Hey, Andrew's stats make the whole place shake. Hey, laughing loud when your team goes down. Hey, Straub boys run this sports town. Show. Sundays, Mondays, we live for the fight. Hey, college game day and Thursday night. Hey, rivals fall and the banter flies. We bleed our teams till the day we die. S-T-R-A-U-E, two loud mouths and a love for the league. From Cleveland roots to the world we go. This is the Straub Bro Sports Show.
Yes, 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 yes. Welcome into another edition of
Straub Bro Sports Show.
Boom. Yes. I'll let the music play in there. I'm trying to fix all this stuff in the background that isn't working, but that's okay. Absolutely. Thank you, Straub. I couldn't fix any of that. My computer delayed for about 2 seconds there. Welcome, everybody, to the Straub Bro Sports Show. Theme music playing over everything I was trying to say. Big bro Ken checking in here with you as always with little bro Drew. Drew, we got a little bit of sunshine even though it's been cold. How are you feeling?
You know, it's that time of year where if the bad weeks that everyone has in like January or February happened then, you're just like, it's cold during the weekend. There's nothing going on. Doesn't matter. Here, right now, does not matter the week you had. Does not matter how bad it is because you know you got sports during the weekend. And that, I think, is one of the best things to look forward to. And nothing better than to talk about that with you, sir.
First of all, I appreciate that. I was almost going to say don't quit your day job to become a motivational speaker, but you killed it at the end. I hire you immediately. First of all, not friend, brothers, Straub Bros Sports Show. So that's how a Cowboys fan befriends a Browns fan. He has no choice. Mama's in the building. I appreciate you, Mama, as always. So, yeah, without further ado, bro, I mean, let's get rolling right into it. We got a big week. We got a big week ahead of us, and we got a lot of stuff to talk about from last week. First thing I want to do is give a shout out to my guy Mel at the 216 Sports Network. I was on another championship call this weekend. The Columbus Fire, your PAFL Tier 3 champions over the Michigan Hurricanes. I cannot wait for Rapid season. I really, really, really enjoyed and appreciate and was blessed to do the championship games. But, man, I need Rapid season back. Spread the wave. Ali out. All right. Now, with that being said, Drew, we had our first official week of college football. And we got a lot right, and we got a lot wrong. And we got to talk about it. All right? So, first thing is first. Oh, and by the way, that doesn't mean we're skipping the Guardians this week. Listen, the only thing they're doing is blowing up my parlays. But, yes. All right, so we're going to take a look around. We're going to skip Monday because other than one drive, poor Bill Belichick in North Carolina looked awful. That TCU defense, though, and that running back there that's a big boy. They're not bringing him down. So that means we're going to start with me, and that means I will have to put this wonderful graphic up for everybody to take a look at around the country. Yes, my Irish. Miami 27, Notre Dame 24, a Sunday night debacle for me. I mean, it's week 1, so we're going to overreact. I'm going to not try to do that. There is a reason I said in my previews, Drew, that no freshman quarterback has won a national championship since Trevor Lawrence, because CJ Carr looked like a freshman. That is for sure. He struggled to get us moving. He struggled to get the running game going. They didn't produce even when they could. But that's That's not what we're going to talk about here, Drew. That Miami defense is legit. And the thing that they have been missing for years, we talk about it all the time with these Hurricanes, Drew. They were missing a quarterback. Not a guy who was super flashy, just a guy who could just not turn the ball over. And they have that with Carson Beck. They have more playmakers now for him than they did when Cam Ward was there. And it's time to put some respect on the U, who I told you last year would be back, and look at the U.
Yeah, I mean, just to kind of talk about TJ Carr real quick.
And here, because we did talk about our picks, shout out to our retiree Lee Corso, who did go 6 for 6 on game day and picked against my Irish.
No, listen, CJ Carr, just like it's not that he looked out of his depth. I think he struggled a bit, but I think were signs and there were plays and there were drives where you went, okay, no, he is going to be able to handle himself well coming down, especially later this year and years to come. I don't have any problem with that. But I think the massive issue is that Miami defense, especially that last drive where they needed to step up the most, gave him no favors. I don't blame that on him. You watch CJ Carr step back in the pocket, and immediately guys are coming around his behind, coming through the middle. Obviously, a more experienced quarterback knows immediately dump that off to the running back, immediately get that out, take the pressure away. But I don't blame him for not immediately kind of getting that down pat, because that Miami defense is absolutely fantastic. Carson Beck, listen, good, but not great, but that's all he really needs to be in terms of this Miami offense. I think he just needs to be a distributor on this team because it's so full of talent, like you were talking about. And yeah, listen, if this Miami team can play like they played against Notre Dame, where they move the ball down the field in increments, they get the ball down and they get into good positions in the red zone, and then they can get enough points where this defense can kind of just take over late in the game, kind of like how the Notre Dame team was last year. I think this is a team that can do a lot of damage and do very, very well in the ACC. But obviously, week one, both teams still kind of getting fresh after a lot of teams were knocking the rust off this week. But great win for Miami. I don't think a devastating loss for you, but I think definitely something to build on, especially CJ Carr.
Absolutely. I agree. It's still early. A lot of time to play. We've already talked about one loss does not do it anymore. That it doesn't work like that. And yes, to repeat that, well, I'm trying to, but it's not popping up on the screen. So Corso absolutely did rock it. So we got to give love there. All right, moving over. Drew, he got us. He got us. Brian Kelly's Tigers came through against Dabo Sweeney's Tigers as LSU beat Clemson 17-10. A battle of top quarterbacks in this next upcoming draft. But I think we can honestly say easily that Garrett Nussmeier outdueled Cade Klubnik in Death Valley. A go-ahead touchdown in the fourth to seal it. Drew, the Tigers are a lot of people, including Lee Corso's, picked to win the national championship. After a week one away win for Brian Kelly, are you a believer in the Tigers?
The issue is that when you look at kind of how that game was played, it was very much reminiscent of Clemson from like 2 years ago, where the offense just stalled. They were leading on the defense basically the entire time to just kind of almost put up a goose egg and hope they get a 10-0 win. I wasn't overwhelmingly impressed with the Tigers. They looked really good defensively, but I think Clemson made a lot of errors that kind of hurt themselves. Yeah. And the offense, I mean, we'll obviously see later on. And I know they were away, and I know it's a top 10 team and a very good defense, but 17 points really doesn't do anything for me, especially when you have that talent and a quarterback that's supposed to go probably top 10, if not top 15. Okay. And so
higher,
like at minimum, right? In case but like even if he sucks the rest of the year. So was that a good, strong, grinded out win? And we really don't see that from Brian Kelly teams. Absolutely. However, I'm not ready to just place a crown on him yet, because we've seen this kind of Clemson team before where all of a sudden the offense just is completely dysfunctional and doesn't know how to run for 3 out of the 4 quarters. And then they try to get back in it late and it's not there. And so good win. I think it's very similar to the Miami win, where good win, but I need you to show me more and be more consistent because listen, no top team was on their game this week whatsoever.
No, not particularly. And what LSU was able to do is, in a very tough SEC and a very tough SEC conference schedule, was to avoid the out of conference stumble. Speaking of, another one that we did get wrong, Drew, and a one that shocked a lot of people.
We got a lot
Florida, yes, we did. Florida State 31, Alabama 17. Drew, I said in the college preview, and we both agreed that Mike Norvell was coaching for his job. Okay. He had hit it big in the portal 2 years straight. It was a disaster last year. So you shouldn't be surprised necessarily, but it is still surprising. I was high on BC quarterback Tommy Castellanos when he was there. And he came through big in his first game for Florida State. 152 in the air, 78 on the ground. That is a winning formula. Okay. All right. 6 people on that Florida State team had more than 3 carries. All right. Fresh legs. The biggest thing for me, though, and all congratulations to Florida State because the offense was humming along. The defense played great and stifled Alabama's offense. I cannot remember the last time I saw an Alabama defense look that bad, look that slow, and look that small.
No, I think you're absolutely right. And I think what's actually kind of crazy is when you look at the Alabama team and kind of how they looked and kind of coming out of the gate and never really getting their footing and kind of how we're talking about this Alabama team right now is very reminiscent to how we talked about this Florida State team after the week 1 loss to Georgia Tech last year, where we went, a little bit of a stumble, but I think they're going to get back on track. And they proceeded to go 2-10.
Ooh. Is there a prediction in there?
I don't think it's a prediction, but I think it's a thing to watch out for was Kalen DeBoer kind of riding off of the rest of Nick Saban's players that stayed? And is it now kind of coming to a point where he's now coming into a fresh new team where it's his? Because we talked about this, before the transfer portal. We always had coaches, okay, we'll give them 3 to 4 years and then they'll have their guys, and that's how they truly are. You saw that, when it came to guys like
anyone.
I know you don't. Well, I'm just saying, come to guys like Jim Harbaugh or guys like Jim Tressel, like all these guys were give them some time, get them to get their guys. And now because of the transfer portal, you get 2 years, and those are most likely your guys. Those are guys that are going to be in your system. They're going to be like that. And so now we're going to look at this team and say, okay, you lost, and it was a bad performance, and we noticed that. What is up for the rest of the year? Because listen, this isn't Florida State. You don't get a couple years to bounce back, and you don't get a couple years to kind of get your feet back after losing a whole draft class. You get that next year. You have to be just as good, maybe a tad bit worse. You cannot be bad at this job for 2 years in a row. I know he wasn't bad last year, but he wasn't great. And now we might not even be good.
Missed the playoffs at Alabama, and they're going to be calling Coach Saban this offseason, before the season.
The amount of money they would throw at a top head coach, no matter who it is. Listen, you better pray they're not knocking on Marcus Freeman's door week 8, because listen, if any one of the top head coaches are available and willing to hear out an offer, they are offering them that if this continues to go south. But week 1,
I'm going to lose them to
freshman quarterback.
Yeah, you brought my coach up. I'm going to lose him to the NFL. I ain't going to lose him to Alabama. But anyone else in the SEC who's considered a top coach? Oh yeah, you're Kirby Smart. Would you jump over for some money?
Or even maybe look at the Big Ten. There's
Lane
certain Oregon head coach I think would be a fantastic.
I got you. Let's not get too bogged down on Alabama coaching searches after week 1, though. All right, the showdown in Columbus.
Can we call it a showdown?
Sure. It was a close game. The close game in Columbus. Ohio State 14, Texas 7. Oh, let that Arch Manning hate just kind of roll on in. Just feed on off of it. We're going to put it on the table, and we're going to be honest about it. These are 2 of the best defenses in the country, period.
Sure.
And we always talk about offenses need a game or two to get rolling and to get humming. That's why a lot of cupcakes are scheduled early on to get the offense scoring 40, 50
Absolutely.
points a game before the tough games. Now, shout out to all of these teams, mine included, who have decided to take on week one as a challenge and see where you're at. I appreciate that. But yeah, both of these quarterbacks struggled. I'm not going to let either off the hook. I mean, neither truly deserves a ton of credit had either of team won. But Julian saying, he looked okay. There's nothing to panic about. He was very efficient, 13 for 20, a big 40-yard touchdown. What I want to give credit to, and we don't do this very often, so mark this down, write this down for bro, so we can timestamp it. OSU and Ryan Day, their game plan was better than Oklahoma's. They had nice, easy throws for saying, nice, easy touch passes, kept the running game involved, and then when he's comfortable in that offense, he takes a big shot and he he completes it. They score a touchdown. Arch was just out there from the get-go, just throwing that thing, just throwing it all over the place. And yes, the running big game was working, but I did not like the game plan. I think Texas got out coached. So all compliments to Ryan Day and that staff. I 100% think that if this game is played later on in the season, it's going to be a shootout. I'm not picking a team. I'm just saying I think it'll look completely different. But shout out to OSU's coaching staff because they took their freshman quarterback, who, I mean, let's be honest, is damn near has the same amount of snaps as Arch Manning in college. And they set him up for success, and they won the game.
So I'm going to agree with you. I think both team defenses are top 5 in the country, if not higher.
And Ohio State has the edge. That defense is as good as any combined in the country.
Correct. And I think that you can definitely kind of look at that as a signal of why Arch struggled. But honestly, I really just did a quick kind of review of kind of the game. Arch Manning had 35 passing yards through 3 quarters. And so I can give you struggling. I can give you kind of 50 yards, maybe not a touchdown. If you got 35 yards of passing and you're the number 1 ranked team in the country, that's a problem. I think that's where you kind of get to the point where you watch the tape back and he's throwing at guys' feet. He's overthrowing guys. He's kind of getting rattled in the pocket. He doesn't have a lot of poise. He's not kind of standing in there and delivering throws that you want him to make. And listen, I get it. He is basically a freshman quarterback at this point by his snaps, and he's facing a top 10 defense. But I think you can put that kind of you can put some of that on the coaches. But I think we even at a baseline level, I think we just wanted to see more development in his game up until now. And I think that's kind of what people were a little disappointed in. I'm not saying Ohio State was really that much better. I think the offense really looked really, really sluggish as well until about the third quarter, maybe second quarter. But I think this is a game that I think I agree. If this is played later and both quarterbacks are a little more seasoned, they've had almost a full season on their belt, it's a lot better. However, again, I think this is another time where teams and offenses especially just do not have the game plan down yet. And I think that is potentially a transfer portal issue. I think that's because so many guys are moving and stuff and having to learn another style and another playbook. It's going to take a few weeks longer than it typically does. However, yeah, I think this is definitely a hit in the Drew's quarterback department because, guys, I have no top team quarterback to talk about right now. I know Nussmeier was okay, but he still wasn't great.
Right. No, I agree with you there. And like I said, the only true, who was done a disservice by Texas and Ohio State playing week 1? All of us. Because this game would have looked a lot better a couple weeks down the road had both of these quarterbacks had some time. And before you do get to that, just to kind of round up the rest of the top 25, just to kind of see what had happened. No real big upsets other than down at the very bottom. Boise State, no Ashton Johnty, no winning. Absolutely got thumped by South Florida 34-7. Other than that, other than the big games we talked about. Chalk all around. Everybody took care of business, minus Texas A&M, who didn't take care of the spread for me, which just was disappointing. But we'll talk about more about that in a second. But, Drew, you alluded to it, and it's time for it. It's time for Drew's quarterback roundup, and yeah, a tough one this week.
Hey, listen, just because we didn't have top quarterbacks slaying it doesn't mean we didn't have any quarterbacks slaying it, because I had at least a dozen options here, and I had to narrow it down to about 6. So we'll talk about it here. Here's your week 1 quarterbacks. First off, Jake Retzlaff from Tulane absolutely dominated Northwestern when they were not favored. 152 passing yards and 113 rushing yards. Did it on the ground and through the air with a passing touchdown and a rushing touchdown. Absolutely phenomenal there. Like I said, we're digging deep because we did not have a lot here. Andrew Body from Alabama State, absolutely phenomenal game. Look at this stat line: 312 passing yards, 4 passing touchdowns, 119 rushing yards, and a rushing touchdown. And you know what the worst part is?
Yeah,
they lost. They lost to UAB 42-52, and so that performance just absolutely does not matter whatsoever. But I wanted to shout him out because what a performance that is. A team Ken was high on in the beginning, App State, and AJ Swan balled out 368 passing yards and 3 touchdowns in a win over Charlotte. Absolutely phenomenal game there. Your first Power 5, or I guess Power 4 player, Sawyer Robinson of Baylor, had 419 passing yards and 3 touchdowns, although that defense for Baylor is not good as they lost to Auburn. Haynes King out of Georgia Tech with 143 passing yards, 156 rushing yards, and all of its touchdowns coming on the ground as they beat Colorado in their first game 27-20. An absolute great game by Georgia Tech. And finally, Taylon Green out of Arkansas. They played a cupcake, and so it was very low on my list, but 322 passing yards and 6 passing touchdowns. I couldn't leave that off the board. Absolutely phenomenal games from all these guys. And that I like to say, I don't discriminate. I get big teams, I get small teams, I get teams in wins, I get teams in losses. I just want to celebrate great quarterback play, and I wanted to celebrate these guys this week.
I respect it. 100%. I love it. I love it. That's it. We reached on some there, but that's all right.
Listen,
all right, Drew.
When Arch Manning and all these guys start playing better, they're going to get on the board. They just need to start playing better.
Absolutely. Now, let's jump forward. Let's get to this weekend, okay? Now, technically on the slate, we only have one ranked game, so we will touch on that one last. We'll save it like game day is. However, there are more than a couple interesting games. Other than that, I'm not going to lie. Majority of the top 25 does play a lot of cupcakes. So before we get to the big Saturday slate, let's take a look at this week's top 25. We do have a couple of slides, a couple of rises, and a couple of newcomers. Let's start with the guys going up. Ohio State, now your number 1 team in the country. LSU up 6 spots. Miami up 5. Also, Iowa State moving up 6. Your biggest drops of the week. Your biggest drop, Alabama, 13 spots all the way down to number 21. My Irish fell a couple. So did Clemson, but still all in the top 10. But we have some newcomers. Utah, welcome to the top 25. And Drew, after starting the season unranked, the Florida State Seminoles in week technically 1, but week 2 here, debut in the top 25 at 14. They take on East Texas A&M this week. So lots of cupcakes. Ohio State plays Grambling. Notre Dame is the only team in the top 25 who is off. We play Texas A&M next week. But let's get to it, Drew. It's time for your Straub Bros Big Saturday. Let's start at noon with the rivalry, our first one of the season. This game is fun, okay? It is not going to be a lot of scoring, but at noon on Fox, Iowa at number 16, Iowa State. Drew, as I said, this is a fun rivalry game. Well, fun for us watchers. These players don't like each other. These fan bases hate each other. This is all what it is about, and it's right here in week 2. Now, the Cyclone offense has been humming along right after dropping a 51 piece and some sides to South Dakota. They have amassed 461 passing yards in 2 games. Drew, why is that a big deal? Because it doesn't seem like an enormous amount of passing yards, does it? That is because Iowa quarterback Mark Gronkowski lit up the University of Albany, going 8 for 15 for 44 yards and a touchdown. Yeah, Xavier Williams, 122 yards and 310 yards total on the ground for Iowa. But Drew, if Iowa's going to have a chance against Iowa State, and I know these games are close defensively, they're going to have to do something against a good team that they don't normally do, and that's score some points. And 44 yards passing ain't going to do it.
No, yeah, Iowa State is a team that kind of just bodies you up and down the field. They're physical. They can run the ball. They can get kind of short passing game. They're very good at just kind of wearing down your opponent. And by the fourth quarter, they're pulling away. Do you want me to predict how this game was going to go? And I want people to clip this in case it's exactly how it goes, because it's always how this game goes the past 5 years. Iowa State is going to come out to a 14-0 lead. Iowa's going to kick a field goal. Iowa State's going to kick a field goal. It's going to be 17-3. Iowa's going to score, and you're going to go, oh my God, it's 17-10. Iowa, let's go. And then Iowa State's going to rattle off 17 more points, and it's going to be 34-10 final score. Iowa State's going to win this one.
Okay.
This Iowa State team is great defensively. They're great offensively. Iowa, they lost so many players to the draft off that great defense, and they have not made any progress offensively. Iowa State, at least for the time being, is owning this rivalry, and I think they will continue to do so.
My man Rago Beck's going to have a huge game. Yeah, I don't see Iowa being in this very long. We are doing Straub Bros head-to-head picks. We're going to save them for the NFL this week, because this week, this college slate is not pretty. Now,
give me Grambling, baby.
Give me Grambling in the points. Now, let's shift over to 3:30 on CBS. Drew, probably not a game that would get a lot of recognition. However, I follow college football. I love me some college football. And what I love most is when two coaches start bickering back and forth. Oklahoma State at number 6 Oregon. Why is this one an interesting one? Oh, my guy, Mike Gundy. That's why. I do like, first of all, I like this Oklahoma State team. They lost their freshman quarterback last week, Hoss Hengy, but other freshmen, Zane Flores, stepped in very nicely. Obviously, Oregon is not the UT Martin Skyhawks, but Oklahoma State gets up for big games, especially when they are unranked or lower, or have a lower rank than the team that they're playing. Oklahoma State messes up when they're the higher ranked team. So we've got some time here.
This is true.
But the reason this one is here is because Oklahoma State is fired up, and it started with their coach, Mike Gundy, who's a veteran in this game. And on his own radio show, because he has his own radio show.
Of course he does.
He said Oregon has spent around $40 million last year for their roster, while Oklahoma State has only spent about $7 million over 3 seasons, saying, quote, there's coaches who think teams with those resources should only play teams of like resources when scheduling out of conference opponents, end quote. Coach, you're that coach. Let's just be real. But head coach of the Oregon Ducks, Dan Lanning, was not going to take that sitting down. When asked about Mike Gundy's quote, his response, and I don't normally read quotes, but these ones are some good ones. Ultimately, how blessed are we being at a place that's invested in winning? If you want to be a top 10 team in college football, you better be invested in winning, and we spend to win. Some people save to have an excuse for why they don't. And ultimately, he's a great coach that's done an unbelievable job, but I want to be a team that's competing at the highest level, and we're really fortunate to be in that situation. So I can't speak on their situation. I have no idea what's in their pockets over there. I'm sure UT Martin probably didn't have as much as them last week, and they played, so we'll let it play out. Brother, college football is back and alive, baby.
So I have a problem with both, because one, Mike Gundy, you just gave so much motivation to a guy who we've seen is one of the best motivators in college football.
That's Colorado about that motivation when Oregon's
That's
fired up.
Dan Lanning. He's Michael Jordan. If you give him anything, he's going to take it personally and he is going to put 50 on you. That's just how it works. However, in Dan Lanning's response, when was the last time Oregon won a national championship with all that spending?
And
they won a lot of regular season games. I'll give it to them there. But when it comes down to it, you lost to Auburn in 2012. You lost to Ohio State in 2015. You haven't made it back since. So if we're talking about spending the championships, you're both still at 0. So I love it. But also, guys, we're not at the same level here.
I firmly believe there's enough guys down in Oklahoma that will put some good money to that Oklahoma State football program. Number one. Number two, Dan Lanning. I get what you're saying, but you have Nike money. That's completely different than like 2 other schools in the country. So yeah, I understand both points, but I just love that they're arguing and bickering. Oregon probably gonna hang 50 on them.
It's no doubt. And I'm gonna love it until they play someone in the college football playoff and lose, because that's just how Oregon does it.
Absolutely. And the best for last, our ranked game of the week, Saturday, 7:30 ABC. Game day will be there as well. Number 15, Michigan at number 18, Oklahoma. Drew, an early showdown of 2 teams looking to regain success that is not in the very distant past. 2 programs that took a dip last year and are looking to keep the hot start going. Michigan 34-17 winners over New Mexico. Oklahoma 35-3 winners over Illinois State. John Mateer seems to have Oklahoma right back in that firepower offense. 392, 3 tutties last week. But Michigan freshman Bryce Underwood says, Ken, I heard all that freshman talk, but I went 251 and a touchdown last week. My counter would be that Justice Haynes went for 159, 3 touchdowns, and averaged 9.9 yards a carry, bro. So, but still, in a quarterback that you did not have on your list, so he's feeling a bit disrespected. Drew, can the freshman take the Wolverines into Oklahoma and win and score? And can that Wolverines defense slow down what seems to be another Sooner offense like the ones we've seen before?
So this is the game that the winner of this game, I'm going to go, okay, you're legit. Let's see what you got the rest of the season.
Ooh, okay.
Because if a Michigan team can go in, slow the game down, make it sloppy, make that offense really struggle, and Bryce Underwood can be what Michigan hasn't had for probably 2 or 3 years, and that's a quarterback that can move the ball consistently down the field.
Yeah.
Then I can say, okay, this Michigan team's legit because they have a defense, but they also have an offense. However, an Oklahoma team can come into home, stop that Michigan defense from creating havoc, march down the field, and basically just handle it on defense. Then I can say, okay, this Oklahoma team has got it back. So this is where I'm looking at here, and it's gonna be the first couple drives. Can this Oklahoma team start out and go, we're at home, this team's below us? Because if I'm being completely honest, I like this Oklahoma team more than I like this Michigan team. I think they're more well-balanced. I think they have more firepower. If they can handle business and they can say, Michigan, you're a great defense, but we're just better, and they start putting up points early, this Oklahoma team is going to be great the rest of the year. But if Michigan can hang on, can do what they did last year to Alabama, to Ohio State, to all of these teams that they really didn't have a chance last year, and do what they did last year, then I can say, okay, Michigan, you had my interest. Now you have my attention. And that's what's going to kind of come down to this game. I still think Oklahoma comes on top. They're at home. I think that Mateer is an amazing quarterback, and I think he's very underrated in this draft. He's going to start skyrocketing as the season comes on. But I could see either scenario happening because, listen, a Michigan team is always tough to play against, no matter who you are, and especially if you are a top-ranked team.
I'm kind of mad because you stole a lot of any good point that I can make about this game. Beautiful analysis by you. That was spot on. Here's what I will say, though. Last week and what we talked about earlier, Ohio State and Texas, two teams that later on in the year are going to have defenses that cause turnovers and offenses that light you up. At their best, both of these teams are completely different. Michigan wants to grind you out, throw, run, play great defense, hold you to a low scoring game. Oklahoma's like, strap up, because we're about to go for it. At their best, we've seen in the recent past Michigan be able to slow those high-powered offenses down and create their game. We've seen Oklahoma not be able to either keep up when they're behind with those teams and get going, or they end up losing in a shootout because they're overdoing it. So I'm curious to see if we get the best out of these both teams, who comes out on top. I'm actually slightly maybe leaning towards Michigan. I'm not 100% sure, but okay. I want to see. I agree with you, though. I want to see what this Oklahoma team is made of here, because I think they can be good. I think Michigan is still building similar to the way Notre Dame is. So I'm going to be less disappointed if Michigan doesn't come out on top, but I will be if Oklahoma gets beat up and let Michigan play their game.
And also, this is another game where I think these two quarterbacks have a lot to prove and a lot riding on how their performance is this game and how we see this team faring the rest of the season, because Bryce has a lot to prove in terms of kind of coming on from week one, and Mateer needs to continue kind of a draft trajectory kind of quarterback that he can play against these great defenses and still play well. And so both quarterbacks, again, are really, really key in kind of how these teams are going to perform.
Absolutely. Now let's take a trip just around the rest of the country real quick, because I've got two sneaky ones to mention. Baylor at SMU. I know this Baylor defense is not great. However, a rivalry game there in the Big 12, just a sneaky one to keep an eye on. And I'm going to talk about this one more later. Arizona State at Mississippi State, a traditional Pac-12 team traveling to the SEC, is always something to keep an eye on. Oh, yeah. And then, bro, we got a little bit of beef this week. Your school versus one of my betting underdog favorites for the past 2 years running. The Bowling Green Falcons travel to Nippert Stadium to take on the Cincinnati Bearcats. Bro, you're heavily favored in this one. Gonna take care of business?
God.
Don't bring him into this. He don't want nothing to do with that.
I know. He left us at least 3 years ago. All I'm gonna say is the same problems that have irked us since Scott Satterfield has come into this program continue to irk us. Not being able to finish games, disappearing in the middle of the game in terms of offensively. And so, are we going to beat this Bowling Green team? Yes, I believe we're going to beat this Bowling Green team. We have the talents. The defense is really good. The offense is capable enough to score on this team. How much do you say we're favored by?
Oh, you're going to make me go and find it now.
Hold on. I think I can find it here.
Continue to talk about your team.
Okay. Just the issue is that this, like I said, the issue is
22.5.
Oh, we are not hitting that. We may win by 17. I think that's probably maybe 21 is the highest I'll give this, and that's a complete maximum. Like, that's, oh my God, we actually played fantastic. No, this team just can, and you know me very well. I don't get mad. I get defeated. I go, whatever. This team has me mad. I'm not going to rant. I'm just going to say the continuous things that have made us lose games since Scott Satterfield has come in have continued to make us lose even this year. Like I said, disappearing in the middle of the game, not being able to finish drives, quarterbacks making poor decisions, game plans, especially offensively, even though they're not working, continuing to try to press specific types of plays that just aren't working. And so, like I said, it's an example on week 1 against Nebraska where you were the better team. That was, I think, pretty apparent for the first quarter and the fourth quarter. absolutely the better team without a doubt. I think, like I said, second quarter offense just disappeared after running 1,000 screenplays. But if this team has any chance of kind of bouncing back and getting on the right track to start the season, I think you have to show progress and show that you have to have a flexible game plan going into games like this, where an Eddie George-led team is going to be stout defensively. They are going to hit you hard. They are going to make it sloppy. And how do you transition? How do you flex out of that and not try to run the ball 50,000 times and go nowhere? And so I think that's kind of what you're looking at.
And that'll do it for Bearcat Talk here on the Straub Sports Show. Coming up next. All right. So now, hey, I gotta let you get it out. All right. So it's time for Big Bros, Big Bets. And before we get to this week, let's tap in with last week, bro. Ooh, not the graphic yet. Just a quick roundup, real quick. Our top 25 spreads that I threw out there. We did have 4 hitters: Tennessee, Oregon, Ole Miss, and South Carolina. Your Ken specials, which is all your non-top 25 games. We had 4 come through for us on the spread there. Bowling Green. I'm sorry, Boston College. I apologize. Wyoming, Missouri, and Georgia Tech. And then let's get to the moneymakers, bro. Upset special, Florida State, box check. That was a good one. And on your locks of the week, I went 4-2. Our overs on the Alabama, Florida State, and Texas, Ohio State game. I apologize. That's my bad. However, Louisville, Western Kentucky over, big time hit. Maryland minus 14.5, not even close. I picked them up on a parlay late for, I think, minus 24, and we still hit. The UCLA Utah over was not even close, and I absolutely nailed it on that last one. Central Michigan, San Jose State under a 51.5. I do believe the final score to that game was 21-7. You're welcome.
Actually, I had it up here. I think it was like 14 or 17 to 14. Yeah, like something low like that.
I told you. You got to listen to Big Bro. He's got your back. So let's get to this week. I split. Shout out to my cousin. He said, "Hey man, I'm watching this on my phone. I'm watching it on the iPad, not always on the TV. It was hard to see some of your bets. I got you this week. I listened to the people. So here are your week 2 lineups. Here's some of your spreads on the top 25. We've got some spreads that aren't even on the board. Games like Ohio State and Grambling, not even worth talking about. Texas, that is minus 36.5 against my San Jose State. Something to keep an eye on. That Penn State one is FIU. There is Iowa State minus 2.5. I kind of like that one this week. Illinois Duke, SMU Baylor, Ole Miss minus 10.5 against Kentucky. How good do you feel Kentucky really is? Clemson looking to bounce back against Troy. There is the Oklahoma-Michigan spread. Oklahoma minus 5.5. Alabama, Louisiana, Monroe. And I threw Florida in as well. Florida plays South Florida, who upset Boise State last week. Depends how good you feel Florida State is, Sean. And then your Ken specials, baby. All your non-top 25 games. Louisville, minus 13.5 against James Madison. Going to talk about that. Hammer. Maryland, minus 17.5 against Northern Illinois, depending how good you feel this Maryland team is now. NC State, minus 2.5 for Virginia. That's a bounce-back game. Pitt versus Central Michigan. Colorado, minus 23.5 versus Delaware. North Texas.
That Delaware team was slanging it.
It was. North Texas and Western Michigan. We saw what Western Michigan can do. Yeah, we're bringing it in. Yes, your Bearcats are on the board. It was 21.5. That line is now moved to 22.5. I would stay away, honestly. UTSA, I have them down here versus Texas State. Check that one out. But I'm not going to let my West Virginia Mountaineers be disrespected. Okay? All right, so minus 3.5. I lost who they were actually playing against, so that's bad. I'm sorry. West Virginia
doesn't matter.
That's fine. Kansas State minus 17.5 over Army, and then Michigan State minus 4.5 over BC. But those are just things to look at. Here's go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I as you kind of know, I love that Iowa State line. I think you hammer the ever-loving crap out of it.
Yeah.
South Florida sneaky. So that's a tough one for me. Obviously, I am vehemently against ever betting against Cincinnati or betting for Cincinnati. That is just you will lose your money 100 times out of 100 on that one.
West Virginia plays Ohio. That's what I was looking for. -3.5 against Ohio. I love it.
And I was gonna say I like that West Virginia line. Just some homer picks.
All right, here it is. It's time for it. Ken's locks in your upset specials. Except my own graphic isn't loading. Help me, bro.
I will help you. There you go.
Thank you, sir. All right. So I'm actually going to, we'll start up top at your locks. Louisville, -13.5 over James Madison. Hammer that. Illinois, -3.5 over Duke. This ain't basketball. Okay. Syracuse, -6.5 over UConn. Once again, this ain't basketball. I like the Syracuse team to bounce back. This UConn team is the UConn team's coming along, but they're not that good. Now, some overs. I love Ole Miss versus Kentucky's over a 50.5. Ole Miss might do it themselves. And the border war, Kansas, Missouri, over 50.5. Rivalry game. Give me some points in that thing. Missouri was scoring a lot last week. Kansas can put up some points. I like that. And then the last one to sprinkle in there, West Virginia, -3.5 over Ohio. You are not going to disrespect my Mountaineers like this, and I will be willing to take the loss for it. Your upset specials of the week, I talked about 2 of them already, but Boston College, +162 over Michigan State. If you believe in this Boston College team, I have been high on them. It was a tough one last week, but all good. Mississippi State, +190 over Arizona State. I'm not bad. Right. Not it depends how high. I know Arizona State is talented, but as a lover of this game, traditional Pac-12 teams going to the SEC, it's not always a good trip. And then lastly, because I'm a homer and because I love our family and because you will not disrespect our academies like that from last week, Army +570 over Kansas State. Kansas State now dropped a couple games, not looking as great. Maybe Army can catch them sleeping, punch one through, and get an upset. Those are your NCAA football, big bros, big bets of the week.
Yeah, first I want to say, Army, I will never take you again, considering you were in my parlay and you lost to Tarleton in double overtime. But 2, I want to say, we didn't talk about it, but it could be potentially both teams being top 25 later on. That Kansas-Missouri game is going to be amazing. Jalen Daniels and Bo Pribula for Missouri, both electric quarterbacks. I think are going to be slinging the ball. That's one that you're going to be kind of scrolling on 3:30 on a Saturday.
That should have been in the slate somewhere. That's my apologies, Kansas and Missouri, for not mentioning you.
But you're going to be at like 4:30, 5 o'clock on a Saturday kind of watching. You're going, this game kind of sucks. Whoa. Kansas and Missouri are at 31 apiece with 5 minutes to go. Let me throw that on real quick. It's going to be amazing.
Oh, it'll already be in a box. So I won't have to find it, but that's my degenerate over watching college football self. And I already know Cuzzo is locked in on the parlays as well. All right, Drew. It's finally time. You got yours on. I got mine on. It's time to talk week 1 of the NFL season, and it kicks off tonight with them boys, versus the Eagles. Cowboys at Eagles on, I think it's NBC tonight. I don't even care to check. I'll find it. It's
NBC and Peacock,
and fall asleep sometime around halftime when they're doing the stupid. Oh, they do the banner pregame. Never mind. So I'll be checking in late after that's all done. So I don't throw up all over myself. But we've got a Thursday night game. We've got a Friday night game in Brazil as the Chiefs take on the Chargers. And then we have our Sunday 1 o'clock slate. Drew, I mean, I really don't want to dissect every single game like this because we're actually going to run through and do picks. What I will say is, fantasy-wise, you can start your Cowboys tonight. If you're in a losers challenge where you pick a team or in a survival pool, might be a good time to cash in on the Eagles for week 1.
I have. I'm very curious on kind of how your team comes out. You gained some guys, but you lost some guys. I would say offensively. Eagles obviously Super Bowl hangover. It's a real thing, so we'll see there.
Lost some guys. That was nice.
I'm trying. I'm trying. Don't. I like the game tonight. Honestly, I think it's going to be close. I think that the Eagles are going to, like I said, Super Bowl hangover is a real thing. I think they're going to come out kind of sluggish. Friday night game. Everyone is so low on this Chargers team this year. I really have a feeling the conditions, Kansas City just having a lot going on. I really like this Chargers team to maybe come out with a week one upset, if I'm being completely honest. Everyone is so low on this team, so we'll see what happens.
And then that Sunday 1 o'clock slate. I mean, we've got some rivalry game mixed in with Bengals and Browns, some matchups of some former quarterbacks with Steelers and Jets. I think the sneaky 2 good games on there are the Giants and Commanders and Buccaneers and Falcons. I think those are your 2 best 1 o'clock games there. And then before we come back and pick, we'll switch over your 4 o'clock slate. You got some hitters, Frisco and Seahawks in a rival and a divisional game. And then you've got Lions and Packers, Texans at Chargers to finish out your Sunday 4 o'clock slate, which are some great matchups. And then we get the heavy hitter Sunday night, Ravens at Bills. And then when everybody is just too exhausted to still want to watch football, we can all fall asleep watching Vikings at Bears Monday night. Something jump out to you on this 4 o'clock slate, or this second half, I should say?
Yeah, curious on how Detroit and Green Bay is going to go. I think they go back and forth every year. And so I just want to see how each team plays. And then you got the battle of who's going to lose to Kansas City in the AFC Championship game on Sunday night between the Bills and the Ravens. And then, listen, year 2, Caleb Williams. Let's see how this man can progress. And against a now Sam Darnold-less and now J.J. McCarthy-filled Vikings team. So kind of new starts over there. I think I'm more excited to watch the Sunday night game, but I'm more intrigued to watch the Monday night game. I think that's kind of how I want to kind of say that. And then, like I said, excited for that Lions-Packers game.
I agree with you. All right, bro, let's get to it. Your Straub Bros Pick'em Challenge is the entire NFL slate for this week. We're going to go battle head to head. If you're curious, I'll let the people in on a little secret. The plan this season was to do a bunch of celebrity guest pickers throughout the college and NFL season and have them kind of pick and choose. Unfortunately, with the ridiculous schedule that I have going on, it has been very hard to get guests. So the plan is to have some guests maybe later on in the year, maybe even just next season. And we're going to dedicate this season to us going head to head. So last week, I'm up 1-0. We messed up all of our picks on the ranked games, got every single one of them wrong. The tiebreaker, the Nebraska-Cincinnati game, which I stuck to you because I forced you to have to be a homer and not pick against your Bearcats, cost you. So I am currently up 1-0. Big Bro goes ahead, but a big week ahead of us because we're going to tackle the entire slate. So let's start with Thursday night. Eagles, Cowboys. Bro, who you got?
Cowboys do some, but not enough. Give me the Eagles.
All right. Eagles for Drew. Let's do it. Cowboys ruined Super Bowl night for the Eagles. Give me my Cowboys. Friday night, Chiefs and Chargers. Who you got?
Like I said, I just got a sneaky suspicion. Different, Brazil, weird time frame. Everyone under ranking this Chargers team. Give me the Chargers in an upset.
The road to Taylor Swift performing for her fiance's Super Bowl at halftime begins Friday in Brazil. Give me Kansas City. Here we go. Sunday at 1. Browns and Bengals.
Bengals always start slow. Joe Flacco has about 3 good weeks with him, and I think this is one of them. Give me the Brownies.
Wow. Absolutely not. Joe Burrow MVP season incoming. Give me the Bengals.
The Bengals are 1-11. In their last in the last 3 seasons, their first 4 games.
Make it 2-11, baby. Cardinals at Saints.
Saints are a dumpster fire. Kyler Murray is not great, but he'll be good enough. Give me the Cardinals.
Yeah, 100% agree. Give me Cardinals. Dolphins at Colts.
Dolphins are good while Tua is still healthy. Give me the Dolphins.
Yeah, Danny Dimes is going to impress some people, but give me the Dolphins. The Vegas Raiders at the Patriots.
I'm not the biggest Drake May fan, but I don't trust anything the Raiders are doing, considering now Amari Cooper has retired because he doesn't like the Raiders team. Give me the Patriots.
Drake May is going to be impressive this year. Give me New England as well. That's a sneaky prediction there. Mama loves you for your Brownies pick.
I'll be disappointed on Sunday, Mom. Don't worry.
That's okay. The battle of Aaron Rodgers not playing well on your team. Steelers at Jets.
Jets have absolutely no offense, and the Steelers defense is still good. Give me Pittsburgh.
That is the 100% reason I am taking Pittsburgh as well. A good one here. Giants at Commanders.
I am hoping the Jaden Daniels sophomore slump doesn't happen. So I'm going to go with the Commanders here. They're also at home. So I'll take them.
I'll allow the Commanders to break my heart rather than pick against them too early.
Yeah.
Give me the Commanders as well. Panthers at Jacksonville.
I do not trust Trevor Lawrence, but honestly, I'm really kind of high on this Carolina team right now. Give me Carolina.
I'm high on this Carolina offense. I'm high on Bryce Young. I'm high on Carolina, but I still have some love for Trevor Lawrence. I'm going to take Jacksonville.
Okay.
Buccaneers at Falcons.
Listen, I'm wearing the jersey for a reason. Love me some Baker Mayfield. He got some more weapons. I think Emeka Ibuka is going to be an absolute stud, even when Chris Godwin comes back. And now I am completely forgetting the running back's name there. It's not Rashad White. It's the other one, but he's going to be Bucky Irving. Jesus.
Yep.
He's going to be fantastic. Give me the Buccaneers. Penix, good, but not good enough.
I really like this Atlanta team. I really like Michael Penix Jr. I think that offense is going to score a ton of points this year, but I really like this Buccaneers team. Give me Tampa Bay as well. We'll switch over to the 4:00 slate. Frisco Seahawks.
Do not trust the Seahawks. They have no weapons on their offense, and also Sam Darnold is good, not a great quarterback. While they still have him and he's not hurt right now, give me Frisco and McCaffrey.
I picked Christian McCaffrey in my fantasy league because he fell to me right there and I had no choice. Same thing as what I said for the Commanders. As long as San Francisco's healthy, they're going to win this game. So I'm going to ride with them until they're not. Tennessee at Denver.
Cam Ward is good, but I think he's going to struggle against this Broncos defense. And I think Bo Nix is going to take a step in his sophomore season. Give me the Broncos.
Cam Ward, rookie of the year. Denver making a push for a conference championship. So give me the Broncos. The big one, Lions at Packers.
This is a tough one. Always tough to play in Lambeau. I think the Packers are going to be motivated with that trade. I think they're going to be absolutely flying around the field. I think it's going to be close, but give me the Packers.
The Super Bowl favorite in the NFC. Give me the Green Bay Packers. Yes, I said it, over the Eagles. Can't sustain it forever. I think there's a slip up coming. Texans at Rams.
This is a tough one. I think, honestly, it's going to be a dud of a 4:00 slate here. I think that the Texans are continuing to struggle at the gate, and I think the Rams, just because of Stafford's injury, are also going to be slow, but I think the more talented team is the Rams, and so give me the Rams.
I'm going to disagree. I think Stafford, the back, is going to be a problem lingering all throughout the entire season, and I think it starts week 1. I'm going to take the Texans. And yeah, I've seen it. I'm ignoring it. I'm writing. Sunday night, the rematch, the big one, Ravens at Bills.
Ravens always choke in primetime games. Give me Buffalo.
It's not cold, so they don't have the advantage in Buffalo, but you're going to have to beat Buffalo at Buffalo for me to pick against them. I'm going to take the Bills as well. And then finally, last and least, Vikings at Bears. Who you got?
I'm going to pick the Bears, and I think it's the same reason why you don't want to pick against the Commanders is I don't want to be disappointed in this Bears team again because they have a lot riding on them, and I want them to succeed. So I'm going to pick the Bears just based off the fact I don't want them to suck again this year.
I'm taking the Bears. I think they're actually going to take a step forward. I think Caleb Williams is going to actually start to show why he was the number 1 pick. So I will take the Bears as well. So, Drew, in this entire slate, We did go same pick for a bunch, but we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 6 games that we split. So hopefully they don't tie 3-3 and we come out with a winner in your week 1 Straub Bros pick'em. And last but not least, before we jump and we finish with the footy, I'm going to continue to do it. I did pretty good on it last year. We'll hope that streak can continue. Big Bros, Big Bros, Big Bets, NFL Week 1 parlay. Give me Commanders, Patriots, Cardinals, Bengals, Dolphins, and Broncos. Put those all together, plus 1,007. Put you a nice little parlay together. Put the little bonus on it. Have you a nice Sunday.
Very nice.
All right.
I'm glad all of the sports are back. That is absolutely phenomenal.
Absolutely. All right. Last but certainly not least, so I can get my butt to baseball. I'm only 15 minutes late from the game starting so far. I'm going to get a FaceTime if my son comes up to the plate, just so everybody knows. So if I get distracted, we know why. But let's wrap it up with your footy. Let's recap the week that was. You can go ahead and throw that up. So first things first, 3 points, baby, and massive exits for Manchester United in the transfer window. I'm back again. But let's run down the biggest talking points of the week that don't include our team. Spurs come back down to earth, losing to Bournemouth 1-0. Sunderland sits 6th in the table currently after a 2-1 win against Brentford. Leeds, the other promoted team, hold Newcastle to a 0-0 draw as the last 2 weeks and continuing get just worse and worse for Newcastle. West Ham hammer Forest 3-0, and Liverpool grind out a 1-0 victory over Arsenal in our big matchup. Drew, which of those stand out most to you, or sprinkle in anything else that doesn't involve Chelsea and United?
No, I'm going to say, the reason why I put all these up, previous weeks I've gone, okay, here are your top games. Every game here meant something and had kind of a storyline behind it. So, like I said, we'll start from the top. That's not us. Sunderland, and then we scroll down to Leeds. They're doing what promoted teams haven't done in the past couple of years, and is beating on teams that are slumping, or getting points against teams that are slumping, because in previous years, like Southampton, they'd come up against a team that's lost 2 or 3 in a row, and then they lose. Because even though you're going against a team that's not good, you're still not good enough to get those points. But they're doing it now, and it's going to be absolutely crucial come the season. Dropping it down. Tottenham. Come on, man. But Bournemouth is a good team. They showed it against Liverpool, but yeah, that is brutal after having such a good win last week. Everton and Wolves, honestly, just an entertaining match.
The Jack Grealish game.
The Jack Grealish game. Oh my God, crazy! Jack Grealish is good when he can actually dribble at defenders. Who knew? Brighton performance of the week with that 2-1 win over City, and now City.
How did I leave that out? I'm sorry.
Back-to-back weeks or back-to-back years starting off slow with their offense here. So again, going to be kind of hard again to kind of come back, especially with teams playing well. After just absolutely dumping on West Ham last week, they decided to drop 3 on one of the best defensive teams in the Prem, who is now again struggling to start off in the Prem. So we'll see how that goes there. And then you had Crystal Palace beating a very, very bad Aston Villa team right now. But I said it last week, and I'll say it again because I wanted to end on this point. Arsenal cannot win big games, and it's simply due to the fact that Mikel Arteta, when he goes up against top teams, plays like he is a newly promoted side playing Manchester City 3 years ago. He sits everyone back, he strictly counterattacks, and he plays for a lucky goal to beat them that game and to win games. And it doesn't work against a team like Liverpool that is so well structured and so just defensively solid. And so you have results like this where it was kind of a boring 90 minutes until that Szoboszlai absolute amazing goal there. But again, another Mikel Arteta game where they look like they are very strong defensively, but they have nothing going forward, and they lose another close game. And so it's kind of same old, same old.
I set you up for the conversation, so I'm going to let you have the last word on that. I asked you what would happen and how you would feel about them after the result, and I agree with you. I mean, they're not going to continue. They're not going to be in real contention for a Premier League title if they cannot pick up points against the teams that they aren't always favored against. Our teams did pick up some points this week. We both have a happy one. Chelsea, and I had to refresh my mind there. 2-0 winners over Fulham. Manchester United, 3-2 win over Burnley. A win is a win right now. Okay, 3 points is 3 points, baby. I'm back up in the race for Europe. Drew, your team continues to fly high. You continue to kind of be, I would say, under the radar. Everyone wants to talk about Liverpool. Everyone wants to talk about Arsenal. Everyone wants to talk about City's struggles. And just sitting kind of right there very comfortably is a Chelsea squad that has looked very, very good this year to start and has plenty of reinforcements on the bench and is coming in with this transfer window to make a real push here if one of these teams were to stumble, or if I should say, if Liverpool were to struggle. Or
no, this is one of the games that we usually draw against a Fulham team where we look slow. We don't really have anything creative wise, and then maybe we score, or maybe Fulham sneaks one in at the end. But the difference is, and it's been a talking point the entire start of the season. João Pedro is a finisher. He gets into amazing spots. For such a kind of a smaller and not super big guy, gets to almost every header. He's fantastic in the air. His movement is fantastic. And even in terms of this game, with Cole Palmer again not being available because of a hamstring injury, this team is again able to create and do things and grind out wins without their top player, that even with their top player in the past couple of years has been a draw or a loss. And so I think that is kind of, if that kind of streak and that kind of mentality and form continues into your Januaries, Februaries, when you're getting to those tough months where you need to grind out wins, this is a team that all of a sudden everyone's going to go, whoa, Chelsea's in second and they're 3 points off Liverpool. What's going on? And I'm not saying that's going to happen, because we have seen Chelsea teams start super high, especially last year, and then crash back down to earth and kind of sit in that 4 or 5 range. But it is definitely a possibility with wins kind of like these, even though we did get some favorable calls this weekend. I can't even lie, but I'll take it.
You did. I'm not going to harp on those against you. I will say this, though. All of those things that I say kind of do go out the window if you do not get Cole Palmer back and healthy, because come later on in the season, when you need a guy to grab the rest of the guys by the back of the shirt and drag them across the line for a win or a point, a guy like Cole Palmer is a guy that you need to keep that engine running. So just something to keep an eye on. Now, we'll switch sides over here. Manchester United, 3-2 over Burnley. 3 points, baby. Back on the side. Before I touch on the game, the transfers was more important to me. Yes, we did lose Alejandro Garnacho to you, but more importantly, Jordan Sancho, see ya, Aston Villa. Anthony, see ya, Real Betis. Very happy to see those players go. We also signed a goalkeeper, which I'm very happy about as well, because Onana cost us the cup game. 2 own goals, which were very tough in the game against Burnley. So not necessarily, like they were overly attacking on us, but still locking some things down. Excuse me, figuring some things out. I'm happy right now. We'll see what happens.
No, I mean, listen, a win is a win, and that is one of those things where as soon as that happens, a lot of pressure dissipates. We're now going into the international window, so you can kind of you get that win, you go in, you can relax, you get back to training, you have a mentality now. And I think that's something you have to kind of ride on and go into your next game. But no, good. That I think it's so good you got those guys out, you got them off the books, you got that headache kind of just like off of your team, in terms of not even just the player, but what it represented of guys just sticking around and not being able to go, and just getting that out with a fresh team that wants to play here and wants to do things. And I think that's a good thing. But now needs the time where you need to now stack these wins or stack good performances, because listen, Burnley, honestly, the way it's looking right now, might be one of the worst teams in the Prem. And listen, a win's a win. And listen, a draw or a loss could have been devastating, but a win's a win. but now we have more to go. I think you have in 2 weeks, you have Manchester City at 11:30 on Sunday. And so you never know.
You're mixed
You never
in there
know.
too. You're mixed in there too in a couple weeks. Yeah, it's gonna get tough. So 3 points was needed. I need this good mood because it's gonna come crashing down after the international break. As he said, international break this week, so we get to take a week off of anything extra. But go ahead.
I will say, and I'm not going to talk about that because I am still mad at them, and until they actually put a coherent team together, I will not be talking about the U.S. It is I am on strike as a U.S. fan right now. But if you are missing some soccer, every country is doing World Cup qualification, or every continent is doing World Cup qualification right now. And so if you want to watch World Cup qualification, obviously the U.S. is already qualified, and so they are playing South Korea on Saturday, and then they are playing Japan on Tuesday. And so fun games to watch if you're missing some soccer. But yeah, no Prem this week, no real anything this week, international break. Always a big contention this early in the season, but there's still soccer to watch. So
100%. Check them out. Check out all around. International soccer is a good change of pace and a good switch up. That is going to do it for us here on the Straub Sports Show. I'm going to immediately run here, get dressed as fast as possible, and shoot right over here to the corner where the baseball field is so I can go coach and see my guy hit. Drew, any final thoughts? Any final shout-outs?
No, listen, thank you everyone for watching, commenting, liking, however you interact with this podcast. Love you guys so much. Listen, weather's getting colder, but that doesn't mean that your moods should dip. We have so much to watch. We have so much to do. Enjoy the weekend. Have a great time. And football is back, baby.
Absolutely. And we'll recap it all for you here on the Straub Sports Show for little brother Drew. I am Big Bro Ken. You can throw up those laps comments for me. Love you, mama. I'll let you know how he does. Everybody have a good night, and we will see you next week. And as always, and we appreciate you, Stash. And as always, remember to love yours.
Hey, Ken's got fire.